Need to know is reporter Angela Chung, who has joined me in the studio. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning, Sia.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yes.
Yes, the end of another week. All right, let's begin with our first news story. We first mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? That a new encrypted private number system would be introduced to relieve some people's lingering concerns over leakage of personal data. Of course, whenever we check into somewhere, you have to use either your QR code, or if you don't have that, oftentimes you have to write down your number and name, and people don't like doing that.
Right. The Personal Information Protection Commission, also known as PIPC, announced they will implement personal security numbers starting today. And this is to avoid privacy issues, like you said.
So please remind our listeners of what this new check-in system is going to look like again.
Yes, this new encrypted number invented by citizens actually consists of a combination of 4 numbers and 2 letters, and this cannot be used for phone calls or text messaging. In the past, people access their QR codes with their personal information, usually via Naver or Kakao. So finding this personal security number involves the exact same process.
Okay. You said this was invented by citizens? That's very interesting.
Yes, a civil organization named Code for Korea is a group of 330 civic hackers who got together and developed an application last December for public mask. 7 of them participated in this project as a talent donation. So as organizers, they've developed an encrypted algorithm via online meetings. And out of these 7 members, there was even a high schooler. And in one interview, he said he's very proud and glad for the outcome, which resulted after his many nights of staying up.
Well done to the high schooler. I hope his parents were as proud of him as he is.
Yes,
and
exactly.
didn't get the wrong idea after staying up.
For sure.
All right. Let's move on to our next item. The Ministry of Health and Welfare has said that the current distancing system will be simplified, and also the standards applied to each level will be eased. Give us the details on this.
The health ministry said it will revise the current distancing scheme by simplifying its 5-tier virus curves and easing the ban on multi-use facilities to mitigate its impact on small business owners. What's now broken down into 5 levels depending on the average of new confirmed cases weekly might become 3 levels. Now, the experts' view is that it's time to revise the measures since the country now has much more reinforced medical capacity and the availability of vaccinations. So this new rule will limit the number of people for gathering depending on the level of new cases to give more flexibility in business operations while giving a heavier punishment for those who violate regulations.
And I understand that they're also going to be considering introducing a concept of social bubble. It reminds me of travel bubble. What exactly is this?
So social bubble is another means of limiting people's personal activities by grouping. So the number of people in each group might vary depending on the size of a country, but usually within 10 people. So this social bubble suggests to ease restrictions within the group while strictly limiting the meeting of people outside of your own social bubble. So Central Disaster Management Headquarters mentioned this method since New Zealand, which is widely known as a successful case of handling COVID-19, has applied this concept as their distancing measure.
Right. New Zealand, I think, was the first country in the world to announce that they had eradicated it, and around 20 deaths only with COVID-19. And they had been promoting this social bubble system. I think a lot of Koreans may have already kind of been enforcing it without knowing what it's actually called, but keeping their social circle very small and limited. So when will we find out about these new measures and when they will be starting to be implemented as well?
The government is expected to announce a draft of the revisions next week to collect opinions from various sectors.
Okay. Again, we'll have to take a closer look at the measures, but also how they reflect the numbers of the daily new cases as well. We have seen a surge in those numbers this week. I think another day, maybe in the 500s, is expected for today as well. So hopefully we can get those numbers down. Yesterday, I think we were just talking about how it's graduation season, although it doesn't feel like it, with a lot of the ceremonies being held only online. And now we're going to be talking about the new semester. It is school opening season soon enough, and the Minister of Education, Yoo Eun-hae, has stressed that the new year and the new semester will not be postponed.
Yes, the Minister Yoon told the nation's education superintendents yesterday that now that all schools are capable of holding classes online, the school opening will not be postponed. And to welcome more kids back to the classroom, she asked to step up COVID-19 quarantine measures to keep the virus from spreading.
I think this year more than ever, kids and, well, especially their parents, but the kids may even actually be looking forward to going back to school, seeing their friends, and meeting their teachers as well. There are going to be, though, priorities on which grades get to physically attend schools, right?
Yes, the government's plan to get students back in the classrooms in phases, with priority given to kindergartners, first and second graders, high school seniors, and students at special education schools. They also urge all students and school faculties who will be participating in person classes to conduct self testing on coronavirus in advance.
So the big news is that because all the schools are capable of holding classes online, there will be no postponement, but there must be more detailed plans for the semester as well.
Exactly. The minister emphasized the increased number of disease control personnel to be provided to school from 50,000 to 56,000 people. So they're more prepared for this prevention. And the ministry is also preparing an extra budget to support supplementary classes for disabled students. And lastly, the Office of Education will prepare sufficient programs for students' mental and emotional well-being. So armed with all these resources, the ministry hopes to facilitate in-person classes to its total normalization as soon as possible.
All right. Hopefully some normality at least will be brought to kids and schools. Thank you very much for those updates, as always, Angela. Have a great weekend.
Yes, have a great weekend.
See you on Monday.
Bye-bye.